Survival without a backpack. What history says still works. 1. The invisible backpack. Upgrading the human operating system. Imagine this. You're standing alone in a dense forest or on a remote mountain ridge. You reach behind your shoulders and suddenly realize the backpack is gone. No gear, no food, no GPS, no batteries. Just silence and a cold realization creeping up your spine. In the modern world, we're taught that survival lives inside equipment. Take the gear away, and we believe we're powerless. But history tells a very different story. For tens of thousands of years, humans crossed frozen tundra, scorching deserts, and endless forests without zippers, plastic, or charging cables. They survived not because they carried more, but because they were more. Welcome to Historia Prime. Today, we are not talking about what you can buy at an outdoor store. We are talking about who you become when everything you carry disappears. This is the philosophy of Mors Kochanski, the father of modern survival skills, who said it best. The more you know, the less you carry. Think of survival like a smartphone. Modern tools are just applications. Useful, impressive, but fragile. They crash, they run out of power. They fail when dropped, soaked, or frozen. Knowledge and skill, however, are the operating system. And when the operating system is strong, it doesn't matter if every app disappears, the system still runs. A strong operating system means you can adapt when plans collapse. It means fire without matches, direction without satellites, calm without certainty. It means survival is no longer something on your back, it lives inside you. This is the invisible backpack. It has no weight, it cannot be stolen, and it never runs out of power. So here is the question history leaves us with. Quiet, unsettling, and unavoidable. If tomorrow every technological app you rely on went dark, would the operating system in your mind keep you alive? Or would it freeze right when survival matters most? This is where the journey begins. 2. The biological fortress. Why clothing is your first line of defense. When everything else is gone, when tools fail and plans collapse, your final line of defense is already on your body. Not a knife, not fire, not shelter. What you are wearing becomes the thin boundary between life and rapid heat loss. History and science share a brutal warning, one that sounds exaggerated until it's too late to ignore it. Cotton kills. Why? Because cotton holds water, and when fabric stays wet, the human body loses heat up to 25 times faster. In cold or windy conditions, a soaked cotton shirt doesn't protect you. It accelerates hypothermia. It turns clothing into something closer to a frozen cardboard coffin, slowly draining warmth with every minute that passes. Our ancestors learned this lesson the hard way. That is why, across continents and centuries, they chose wool. Wool is not just fabric, it is biological engineering. Its keratin protein structure repels liquid water on the outside, yet absorbs moisture vapor into the core of the fiber. Even when soaked, wool continues to insulate. It traps air, it preserves heat. It works with the human body instead of against it. This is why early explorers, mountain peoples, shepherds, and soldiers trusted wool when survival mattered more than comfort or appearance. They understood something modern fashion often forgets. Staying dry is not the same as staying warm. Trapped air is warmth. Moisture control is life. Over time, this understanding evolved into a system, simple, elegant, and brutally effective. A base layer to move sweat away from the skin, a middle layer to trap warm air, and an outer layer to block wind and rain. Each layer has a single job, and together they form a living fortress around the body. And there is one small habit, easily overlooked, yet deeply revealing. Tucking in your shirt. It seals warmth around the abdomen, protecting the organs that keep you alive. It creates a pocket of heat where your body needs it most. A minor adjustment with major consequences. This is not about style, It never was. So here is the question survival quietly asks, long before disaster strikes. When you choose what to wear each day, are you dressing to look good? Or dressing to stay alive? In a world where an ordinary moment can turn into an emergency without warning. Because when everything else is stripped away, your clothing becomes your shelter. And history is very clear about who survives that test. 3. Carrying the sun, the ancestors' secret of the eternal fire. Fire is not just a tool. Fire is a small sun, one that keeps flesh alive, water drinkable, predators distant, and the human spirit from collapsing into despair. When fire disappears, survival does not fade slowly. It collapses fast. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Creating fire from nothing is exhausting. It drains calories, time, and focus resources you may not have when cold, hunger, or injury close in. Our ancestors understood this deeply. So instead of constantly making fire, they mastered something far more powerful. They carried it. Hidden in decaying birch trees, they found a strange growth, hoof-shaped, dark and unremarkable to the untrained eye. Inside it lived something extraordinary, a substance so sensitive to heat that a single glowing ember could be preserved, breathing slowly, for hours upon hours. This fungus contained amadou, a material capable of holding a living coal in a state between flame and ash, wrapped in damp moss, or stored in a small container to limit oxygen. It could smolder quietly for 8 hours, sometimes more. A piece no larger than a clenched fist could carry yesterday's fire into tomorrow's journey. When they reached a new camp, there was no frantic friction, no desperate striking of stone. They simply uncovered the ember, breathed gently into it, and watched the fire return as if awakened from sleep. This was not convenience. This was strategy. It marked a profound shift in thinking, from being a consumer of fire, dependent on luck, weather, or fragile tools, to becoming a keeper of heat, a guardian of continuity. Fire was no longer something hoped for, it was something maintained. In a world obsessed with disposable solutions, our ancestors practiced patience. They understood that survival favored those who could nurture what mattered, not those who constantly started from zero. So here is the question this ancient practice quietly asks us. In a world built on things meant to be used once and thrown away, do you still have the patience to tend a flame? To protect it, carry it, and keep it alive, even when no one else sees it burning? Because history shows us this much. Those who carried the sun rarely walked in darkness for long. 4. The Library of Nature, reading the hidden maps of the living world. We have become servants to a glowing blue dot on a screen. As long as it moves, we feel safe. As long as it speaks, we believe we know where we are. But the moment satellites fall silent, batteries drain, or signal disappears, something extraordinary happens. The world begins to speak again. What once looked like random wilderness reveals itself as a vast, living library filled with signs, patterns, and directions that have guided humans for thousands of years. Natural navigation is not just about finding your way. It is about learning the language of the earth itself. Look at the sun. At midday, when it stands highest in the sky, even a simple stick pressed into the ground becomes an instrument of orientation. Its shadow points north in the northern hemisphere, steady and indifferent to technology. Long before compasses and maps, humans learned to trust this quiet geometry of light and shadow, then look upward at night. When the moon is not full, its curved horns carry a secret. Draw an invisible line between their tips and follow it down to the horizon. That line points south. No batteries, no calibration, just patience, observation, and an ancient understanding passed from sky to mind. And then there are the trees. They are not silent witnesses, they are storytellers. On the southern side, branches often grow thicker and spread wider, reaching eagerly for warmth and light. On the northern side, growth is tighter, more vertical, searching upward instead of outward. Even the wind leaves fingerprints behind. In places shaped by constant gusts, trees bend and comb themselves in one dominant direction, quietly revealing the prevailing winds that can guide or exhaust a traveler. This is not superstition. This is accumulated knowledge written slowly into bark, shadow, and stone. To those who only glance, nature looks like a meaningless wall of green, but to those who learn to read, it becomes a map layered with instructions, where warmth hides, where storms travel, where water flows, and where safety might wait just beyond the next ridge. So here is the question this living library asks each of us. When you step outside, are you seeing chaos? Or are you standing inside a book written over millions of years, patiently waiting to be read? Because when the blue dot vanishes, those who can read the land are never truly lost. 5. The geometry of survival, the power of rope and knots. If you have a knife in your hand and knowledge in your fingers, the forest stops being chaos and becomes supply. Trees turn into beams, bark becomes fiber, gravity itself becomes something you can negotiate. Humans learned this long before metal, long before machines. More than 40,000 years ago, our ancestors twisted plant fibers into cordage using a simple principle: reverse tension. One strand twisted against another, each fighting to unwind, locking together into strength. Willow bark, cedar inner fibers, grasses pulled from the ground. When twisted correctly, weakness becomes resilience. With rope, the environment changes its meaning. What was unreachable becomes reachable. What was unstable becomes secure. What was temporary becomes shelter. But rope alone is only potential. Knots are what give it purpose. A knot is not just a tie, it is applied geometry, executed by human hands. It is mathematics without numbers, engineering without blueprints. And among all knots, there are a few that history refuses to forget. The bowline is one of them. Known for centuries as the king of knots, it creates a fixed loop that will not slip, even under strain, yet can be untied after heavy load. Sailors trusted it with their lives. Climbers trusted it with their weight. It does not tighten into panic. It holds calmly, predictably, exactly as designed. Then there is the clove hitch. Fast, adaptable, and strong when used correctly. It secures rope to a post, a branch, a tool handle anchoring motion to stillness. It is not flashy, but it is reliable. And in survival, reliability outranks elegance every time. When you master these movements, something deeper happens. Your hands begin to think. Anxiety recedes because helplessness disappears. You no longer depend on perfect materials or factory-made solutions. You can repair, improvise, and rebuild with what exists around you. This is self-efficacy, the quiet confidence that you are not trapped by circumstance. So here is the question: survival leaves in your hands. Do you want to be someone who can build an entire world from a single strand of cord? Or someone who panics the moment a plastic rope snaps? Because history favors those who can tie the world together, one knot at a time. 6. The core of resilience, why the brain is the ultimate tool. We have spoken about fire, about clothing, about maps written into the land itself. But beneath all of it, beneath warmth, direction, and shelter, there is something far more decisive: the state of the human mind. In crisis, the body does not think clearly by default. It floods itself with cortisol and adrenaline, ancient chemicals designed for escape, not reflection. Vision narrows, time distorts. This is tunnel vision, the condition where the mind locks onto fear so tightly that it overlooks solutions sitting just inches away. This is how people with tools die, and how people without tools survive. To keep the human operating system from crashing, our ancestors learned to regulate the mind before attempting to control the world. One of the simplest and most powerful methods still works today. Box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, Exhale for 4. Hold again for 4. With each cycle, the nervous system receives a quiet chemical message. We are not dying right now. And in that moment of calm, clarity returns. This is not comfort. This is control. History gives us proof written in flesh and consequence. Think of Aaron Ralston, trapped by a boulder in the desert, alone, with no rescue coming. What saved him was not equipment. It was the ability to think beyond panic, to accept reality, and to act decisively when hesitation meant death. Or remember Julianne Koepke, a teenager who fell from the sky with a crashing aircraft and walked out of the jungle days later. Her survival did not come from luck alone. It came from cognitive flexibility, the ability to adapt under extreme pressure, to apply simple natural rules, to follow water downstream instead of fighting the forest blindly. These people did not survive because they were fearless. They survived because they could think while afraid. Cognitive flexibility is the hidden engine of survival. It allows you to abandon failing plans, reframe danger as information, and turn limited options into workable paths. When tools are gone and conditions worsen, this mental agility becomes more valuable than any object you could carry. So here is the final question this section leaves echoing in the silence. When disaster strikes and the world closes in, who is in control of your life at that moment? The instinctive panic written into your biology, or the trained, deliberate resilience you have chosen to build? Because when everything else is stripped away, the mind is not just a tool, it is the last shelter standing. 7. The Light Journey. Awakening the survival DNA within you. Survival without a backpack is not about suffering. It is about freedom. It is the freedom that comes when nothing you need can be taken from you. When your strength is not strapped to your shoulders, but embedded in who you are. When knowledge weighs nothing, yet carries you farther than any piece of equipment ever could. When you carry skills, your load is zero, but your capacity becomes limitless. This is why knowledge has always been the true foundation of survival. It does not rust, it does not break, it cannot be lost in a river or forgotten in a storm. Once learned, it stays with you, quietly, patiently waiting to be used. And the path to it is not dramatic. It is simple, steady, and human. Learn a little often. One knot this week. One observation of the sun's shadow today. One small habit that reconnects you to the world beyond screens and convenience. These are not preparations for disaster. They are rehearsals for resilience. Because the truth is, survival is already written into you. The blood in your veins carries the memory of people who crossed ice ages, who navigated oceans by stars, who endured hunger, cold, and uncertainty without quitting. You are not separate from them. You are their continuation. Real preparedness is not about what you pack. It is about what you become. So here is the final question, quiet, personal, and powerful. Today, what weightless skill will you choose to begin learning? One that you can carry for the rest of your life. Keep the inner fire alive. Thank you for walking this journey with Historia Prime.